MindSense.
Hello, hi, welcome back. Time to get the nonsense. Let's talk MindSense. I'm your host, Meena J.
और मन की बातें तो होती रहेंगी. Keep watching MindSense. मैं हूँ आपके host Sarita Chand.
And today, in the studio with us today is the one and only DJ Goddess. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you were born, where you grew up?
So have you heard of Prince Rupert?
Yes.
A very small town. Actually, I'm shocked. It's such a small town. Population of maybe like 10,000 people. That's actually where I was born and raised. My parents immigrated to Prince Rupert. So I was born there, all my siblings. And then we moved to Vancouver just for more opportunities when I was about 12, 13 years old. Mm-hmm. And that was like a total shock. Going from like small town girl, like rollerblading and like biking to then going to like proper city life. And it was definitely a hard adjustment, but I felt like it was necessary in order to grow, for opportunities. There's no universities and colleges out there, so and I went to UBC as well, so my parents were like kind of gearing us towards higher education, and we're looking at like what would be good for our kids, and so we landed here. And so I went to UBC. I did a major in biology and minor in business. And then became a DJ. And that story it was like a long-winded way going from university to then going to DJing. I became a film producer in between. I acted for a little bit in between, and then finally found what I was meant to do, which was music.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was so quickly.
I know, right? You know what? I always have to crunch it so much because there's so much that I've done kind of in between, and it's been quite the journey, I must say.
Yeah.
So, DJ Goddess, I just want to ask, you said you moved from Prince Rupert when you were about 12, 13. That's like such a challenging time for girls,
adolescents,
children,
right? It's adolescents,
teens, like coming into teens. How was that?
It was definitely very tough, and on top of that, being South Asian, right? Mm-hmm. In our school in Prince Rupert, there were only just a few, like just a couple of kids that were brown. There was, it was very like non-ethnic kind of background. And then I went to school like where it was just completely packed, and yes, it's very cliquey out here. Yes. I always say it's still cliquey out here, and hopefully over time this changes. But I feel like small town people actually have this ability, and I've met quite a few others. They have this ability to adapt, and it's because they come in and they just kind of have to make new friends, meet new people, function in a society that might be a little bit more cliquey, and it's just like you're kind of thrown in to the wolves, city wolves.
Yeah.
But now I'm a complete city girl.
Now you got back to Prince Rupert?
Yeah, but with I feel like small town morals though, right? And I feel like we're kind of nicer a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. Even within Canada, I guess the smaller towns, people moving from there to Vancouver, Surrey, wherever, to the bigger cities. And I'm born and raised in England, and when I move, I think it's such a culture shock, even though, you think they're both Western countries, but it's still very different, and the adjustment and trying to fit in.
What did you feel was the difference? Because I've gone to the UK, I've spent quite a bit of time out there. I've even been to Southall, and then proper London City. So, what was your experience like?
Well, so in England, the school I went to, and there was like a lot of, especially in East Indian, South Asian people, they kind of stick together, your school, so it was a lot of togetherness. But for me, I found, first I was embarrassed because people couldn't understand me.
Right,
so I started changing the way I spoke, and now I sound weird.
I love that.
I have like this weird accent that's neither British or Canadian. But I did find it was very hard, and I was actually in my late teens, almost 20. So I
that's
found
even harder, I think, as an adult to adjust.
Yeah. So it was. It's and although I liked, because you've been to the UK, it's a smaller. Everything's so small and compact, and I came here. And I was like, wow.
The shops, they're so cute though.
Yeah, and we used to watch Saved by the Bell or those kind of shows.
Oh,
like, wow, yes, I need to stay here
all
now.
All crush on Zach.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm not leaving now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was nice. So we know DJ Goddess, and I'm sure everybody knows. How did you come up with DJ Goddess, and what is your actual real name?
Okay, so DJ Goddess, I wanted something very women empowering. I wanted something powerful. You know, I was entering pretty much a male-dominated industry, so I wanted to choose something that just, I'm here. and actually it's funny because me and my sister always argue. We're like, who came up with this name? And we would be sitting down researching names, and I was thinking like Empress, and then we were looking up different goddess names, but none of them was kind of suiting it. And then I remember I was just frustrated with names. My sister's like, let's just step out and go for a drive. And there was literally Alex Fraser Bridge, and there's this truck, and I think it was like the oddest thing that had Goddess with it, and it said Goddess Bakery or something, and we both look at it, and that's where we get in a fight. We're like, no, I thought of it, and she's like, no, I thought of it. I'm like, okay, we both saw it at the same time, we both thought the same thing.
Wow.
Literally saw it, we're like, Goddess, like that's it, like this is gonna be the name. And then I literally bought my domain name while we were driving. Like I saw it, went in, I was like, is there any DJ Goddess? Okay, no there isn't. Okay, I'm buying this right now. This is me. And I just kind of claimed it. And then with that, like I've come up with a female empowerment movement called Crown That Goddess, which is like a Instagram community for women to support each other, to like encourage them to pursue their ambitions. And then that's that whole side. And then my real name is Jessica.
Jessica.
Yes. And my parents did give me a Caucasian name because they wanted to adjust, like me to adjust for when we moved to Prince Rupert, or like when I was born there. Yeah.
And so going through, you said you went to university and you're taking biology and marketing or business that you were taking.
Yeah, commerce.
And so, and then when you decided that, I want to do DJing or I want to do this, how was that taken by family? Sometimes our family, they want us to have these jobs that are like, no, you have to do this, that. That's just a side thing. You can do it as a hobby, or they don't quite understand. How was it for you?
Well, very similar. Very similar. I mean, I went to university. I was a straight A student. You name it. Like, I had 10 scholarships to, like, McGill, UBC, SFU, you name it. Like, my friends would always be, who are now doctors, by the way. Yes. They would be the ones being like, their parents would be like, why can't you be like her? Look at her. Her prospects for going to med school are so high. And now we joke about it. I'm like, see, I was, like, never meant for med school. But regardless, I went to university. Same thing. Like, I cried when I got my first B. Like, I bawled my eyes out. I was like, I don't want to live on campus. I don't want to go to university anymore. I worked so hard, and they gave me a B. Like, it's so sad. And now people probably wouldn't even believe me. They're like, we need to see your transcripts right now. We don't get it. But yeah, so I went to university, and then post-university, that's when I was dabbling in acting and production. And yes, that's when my dad was like, okay, like, I thought you were going to go to med school. I'm like, I just want a couple years to kind of explore. Never let your kids do that if you don't want to.
They're like, when are these couple of years ending?
It was. I was like, I need 2 years, and I was loving what I was doing. And then I was like, 2 more years, and then 2 more years. But then my career just started to kick off, and almost immediately, too, because I always had that. I do agree that education is so important, and the commerce side of marketing, networking, I learned all of that in school. So I feel like those skill sets, yes, I did use, and to adapt, as well at university. And in university, I would be like playing sports, I'd be trying to get good grades, I would join different clubs. So I feel like all that skill set I did kind of extrapolate to my career. And then just as, celebrities started coming to the house and kind of singing a little praises, and my parents were like, whoa, okay, then TV interviews, then me traveling. And it's funny because my dad has come to a few of the city locations where I've DJ'd, and like he's seen what I do and the respect and just how I've got there. And from having a background of no entertainment, like we're not an entertainment, we're completely middle class family. Dad was a mill worker in Prince Rupert. So, coming from that and striving and doing it in as much of an honorable and morally way to like make it into the entertainment industry, it's not easy, and he's seen that journey.
And so you said that, so you went into DJing first, DJ Goddess. How did you kind of, when did you think that this is what I want to do, or I want to explore this kind of side? and that became like your passion, your profession.
So I actually had a really good mentor, and I think that's really important to have. So I had this amazing mentor. He actually worked for a film effects studio as he was the CEO, and I was interning at this point in time. And this is where I was really confused as to what I wanted to do. I was like enjoying a little bit of acting, more so enjoying producing, and really loving music. So then I was now in a dilemma of like, okay, film production and DJing, and I'm like, I don't know which one I want to do.
Yeah.
And then he gave me the best advice. He's like, focus on one right now. Choose one, get really good at it. Then you can go across the board. Then you can be well-rounded. Then you and that's what it was. Really tough decision to choose music, but I finally made that decision just to, your heart feels it, right? So I was like, okay, music. And lo and behold, as time passed, I'm now producing my own music videos. So I'm now able to tie in all these different things. And I can act in my music videos too. So I'm doing the acting, I'm doing the production, and I get to DJ. Yeah.
Wow.
And so going through, like when you first came out as a DJ, you had your name, you put it out there, and growing your publicly. What were some of the barriers that you faced? Because like you said, it was a male dominant, like DJs usually are guys, men at weddings or wherever that you see. So what were some of the challenges you faced, and kind of how did you overcome those?
I think on the music side of things, it was always like, oh, a girl just comes in and she's all of a sudden touring abroad. Because right away it was like I hit a niche market. There weren't many like female Bollywood DJs. I was probably one of the first international ones. And there are people like DJ Rekha, who's like a Bhangra DJ in New York. She hit it on a Bhangra scale as well. Much respect to her. And I feel like with me, it was again like she made it international right away. It's because she's a girl. Right? It's because she's a girl. But where does that conversation end? How long is it always is that gonna be the topic? And being like, oh, she only made it because she's a girl. No, because my thing is if I wasn't a good DJ, how can you book the same gigs with the same promoters over and over again? There's a gazillion good-looking girls, right?
Yes.
Honestly, there's no shortage of good-looking girls. But having a skill, that's where you get the respect, and that's where you get your, continuous bookings. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, so that's great. Like you came in and at major mark, and still to this, you keep on going, you're expanding. What are some of the kind of a memory that you hold dear from the first time you started?
Oh my gosh. Well, one of my first gigs, like really big ones, was New Year's Eve. It was in Dubai, and a lot of people know. Yeah, and everyone knows Dubai is one of my favorite cities. It's, luxurious. Everyone there is just so nice. It has a lot of expats, so a lot of foreigners, a very mixed community, and they know how to party. And, it was one of my... It was one of my really first big gigs, and going there, like I wasn't used to the whole like treatment of like being picked up in luxurious cars. You have like your own fancy hotel, and my sister was on tour with me at the time, and it was just like such an amazing experience. Like we had like an Aston Martin like as our cars. They're like, you want an Aston Martin here? Like you want this? What do you need? Anything. And it was like, oh my gosh, like being treated very well, and like as an artist, and you're getting paid, and you're getting paid to DJ. To party, to and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. This is a really cool, lifestyle. Yeah. And that carried on for like a decade then after that. It's like so until COVID hit, that's how we lived our life.
So along with that, what is some of a bad memory or something that, and then how you kind of put that to the side and kept your positivity? Like I'm talking to you, you're here. It's like you're confident. You're strong, and it's like you give off this positive energy.
Thank
so
you.
What is like a bad memory that you have?
Right? You know what? I'm probably positive because I blocked them all out. It's like,
That's a good thing.
Okay. You know what? You have some memories or like situations, and you just kind of make the most of it. You kind of maneuver, and I don't know. Like I've been very lucky, actually, very blessed that I haven't had to deal with many negative experiences, or maybe I've known how to deal with them so that it doesn't escalate, to a worse situation. So I normally like nipping things in the bud and that sort of thing. I don't know, like a funny one would be like, I was in Calcutta and I didn't have like my contract was kind of very basic, and now it's like airtight. You know what I mean? Like it's airtight. But I didn't really know, and I was like, okay, like 4-star hotel, transportation when I arrived, that kind of thing. And I remember there was this car, like it was like a taxi cab, and this is Calcutta, which is like a congested city. Like, have you been to Calcutta?
I've never been there.
Okay, it's like one of the most populated cities of India. And I was in this car, it was summertime, and I was off to like my hotel, and then I had a gig the next day. The promoters didn't come to get me, it was like literally the driver. And it was this rickety, like, no AC, the fan wasn't working, had to have like the windows down, and we were stuck in traffic. I'm not even kidding you, 3 hours.
Oh my God.
3 hours. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, where am I? Is this safe? Like, is this okay? Like, oh my gosh, you know, like, and my sister, you know, she hadn't toured for that particular tour, because normally I would have somebody with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like, this is insane. And then, yeah, like, luckily I still made it to the hotel and everything was fine. And then after that, it was like airtight. Promoters must accompany, luxury transportation, you know, like 5-star hotel only if it's India, you know, that kind of thing. So you just, I don't know, like, it was like a negative experience of like, oh, you know, in the moment I was like, oh my God, you know, what's gonna happen? But then you learn.
Also learn from those
you
experiences,
learn, and then
right?
you just, you know, correct those things, make your life better. So every negative experience you get, you just make sure that it doesn't happen again, or like, you know better how to deal with it, that kind of thing.
So I want to ask DJ Goddess is like, you know, sometimes we go to events and, you know, whether the artist or I haven't gone to a show where the DJ was late, but have you that ever happened to you?
Where,
like, you know, especially when you're traveling or like overseas, and you hear, I'm just hearing you say that you traveled to Calcutta and the next day you had your gig.
Yes.
I'm like thinking that is pretty tight.
Yeah, oh my God. If you think that's tight, honestly, I've done like 3 cities in like 72 hours. Like over
my
3,
God.
4, like it was like literally like, or 2, sorry, 2 in like 72 hours in 2 different cities, but I had flown in those 72 hours from Vancouver to Dubai, had a Dubai gig, like next day at 3 a.m. had a flight to India, then had a 3-hour drive to Vapi, which is like close to Gujarat. And this is what's crazy, is you're just kind of like in it. I feel like COVID has given me a chance, like during this time, to actually reflect of what I've done and the crazy experiences. But yeah, and then I was on my way to Vapi, there's like billboards literally of my face on it being like, DJ Goddess Independence Day show, and I'm like, oh my God, like, is this real? And timing, I got there, there's a vlog on it. I slept, I think 2 hours I slept just before sound check. Just getting 2 hours of sleep, 45 minutes of sleep, wherever you can squeeze it in, and you're on the go. And luckily I haven't been late. Like, but I've made it. Like, just enough time to like get there, hit the next city, you're on it. I've even like flown from here, Emirates, you have to fly via Seattle. But yeah, I've gone from here, Seattle, Dubai, and I've had 3 hours to go, like, freshen up and hit the stage.
Wow.
So if I did miss a flight, then for sure that gig would have been canceled.
Thank
like,
God
there
everything worked out.
couldn't have even been a late because you missed the flight. Like, but we made it. So I don't know.
Wow.
Someone's watching over me, maybe. Yeah.
And I know you touched on COVID. So since like COVID has happened, you know, your travel's kind of restricted. What some of the, you know, changes that you've had to kind of deal with, and how have you kept up, or, you know, we all miss kind of what we used to do and not able to do. How's that been for you?
Oh, 100%. It's been hard. It was like such a hard time. I feel like it's been a year and a half. We're still kind of not sure what's happening. Vaccines are rolling out. Still don't know how effective they are. Is this going to be a yearly thing? Is it going to ever get back to normal? We don't. We actually don't know. And I've had my moments where you're like, okay, you know, and when this first happened, I actually had my bags packed. I was going to Toronto. This was that March weekend where it became really scary.
Yes.
And I was supposed to go to Toronto, Dallas, Dubai to shoot a music video, and India on tour. So I had bags were packed. I was going to go to the airport. On my way to the airport, promoters from Toronto call me, and they're like, the NBA was canceled last night. Do you still want to do the gig? Like, we're okay to go with it. And I'm like, I think if the NBA got canceled, I don't think I want a DJ Goddess COVID party. No thanks. I don't need that on my name. So I was like, you know what, that's okay. And I was actually going to fly out my mom too. And so it was kind of scary. I was like, I don't think I want my mom in the plane. And we didn't know if it was airborne, circulating in the air. You know, that's when the whole, like, the princess boat or, you know, cruise ship was all, like, almost infected kind of thing. So, yeah, and it was scary times, and that since that day, like, I try to maintain like a positive mentality, because I'm like normally like positive, bubbly, okay, let's, it's okay, the world's in the same boat. But then you got to kind of delve into your own situation and what kind of lifestyle. Like for me, I know my lifestyle was a little bit more different than, say, someone that went to travel for fun, versus that was my livelihood. Like that was my income. That was like my whole lifestyle for a decade, you know? And I did, like, my body started reacting, like, I started to feel like, okay, something's not right. And then I realized, no, it's okay. It's okay to be, like, sad on the inside or upset on the inside. Like, it's natural. And I think once I went through that, I'm like, okay, like, you know what? It's okay, feel it through. And then get back up and, like, what can you do? And that's when I came up with my own lip kit line. So I have my own makeup line called By Goddess Beauty.
Yes.
I started focusing on Crown That Goddess, the women empowerment movement. And then I also have my shades line. So, I just started delving into that. And then stocks. so yeah, like, you just got to make the most of it and just kind of soak in the feelings and then just move on and be hopeful for the future. Like, be optimistic. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the women's movement, maybe speak to that a bit more of what it is and what you hope to accomplish and already have accomplished within that movement.
Sure. So Crown That Goddess, like I said, I started it because I wanted to inspire women. I wanted women to have like kind of community where women support each other. I feel like not enough women, we're constantly tearing each other down. No matter how much we feel like we've advanced, there's still so far to go. Like we need to step up and support each other. Like I always say, we're more powerful than men. But like if we all united, honestly, we are. Women go through so much. You guys go through childbirth. Like, you know what I mean? Like we are way more powerful, but we're powerful together. To uplift each other is so important. And I wanted to, because of me going into like an unconventional career path, I wanted to be able to kind of set an example for other women, for them, and encourage them to pursue their ambitions and dreams, no matter what it is. Choose something and go for it. People always ask me, like, how did you, like, do it? And I'm like, you just do it. Like, literally, you just do it. Figure it out later. Do it. Like, dive in. And then you can work backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Women need to support each other, and I think we have, not enough of that. So I guess during this COVID time that you came up with this, you also did your lip kit and sunglasses?
Yeah, also? Sunglasses as well. I should have rocked them. Like, all cool for the interview.
Yeah. Which is out of, like a situation that's not, is a negative situation. You made so many positives out of that, which is great to hear. What other things do you do for yourself just to keep you mentally wellness, yourself positive like you are?
Yeah, well, I am a big fan of working out. Like I was like, and there was a big span where I wasn't even working out, because what I would do is I'd have my tour, and then when I would be off tour, I'd be like, okay, planning, working out to my tour, and then there was no tour for like a year, and then I was just eating. I was doing the more destructive thing of just eating, and like, like comfort eating is like totally my thing. I comfort eat, and then I eventually was like, okay, this is not helping. And then working out, like being active, nature walks, lots of walks in nature. I just started going out even on my own, just being like, okay, I'm going to hit up watershed or whatever. So, like a lot of being one with nature, I think is super important to ground yourself.
Yeah.
And I love working out in the field, and just finding things to do, like reading as well. I love to read like self-help, inspiring books. Like how to be effective or yeah. And when I look at you, like I said, you're very confident. So if the to our young kind of women, and a lot of girls especially do look up to you, what advice would you give them? We all feel insecure. And we feel like we don't look as good, or we should look a certain way, and we all go through this internal kind of thing. Even with our weight, we're always like, we lose weight. It's constant battle, isn't it? Yeah.
What advice would you give to especially the young girls?
I think lately there's such a big pressure, like social media and an online presence, and portraying a certain lifestyle, everything's perfect kind of thing, and it puts a lot of pressure on the upcoming and young females, and that's half of like issue with women having more insecurities in this day and age. And I feel like the biggest thing that I would say is you really need to be comfortable with yourself. We need to look inward. I feel like we're constant looking outwards. What is so-and-so going to think of me? How's this guy going to like me? Or what's society going to think of me? I think we need to spend more time reflecting on the inside, becoming comfortable with yourself, being your own best friend, because you are your own best friend.
Yes.
Like it might sound like, other people probably have said this, but like you need to be your own best friend because no one's going to look out for you more than you. And if you're in a place of strength, you can then be there in a place of strength for other people and being that strength and confidence for other people. But you need inner work, ladies, inner work. Yeah. And that will make you a better person, better human. Humanity is lacking these days. It's actually very disheartening. And and again, if we work on ourselves one by one, and teach the younger and upcoming generation and pass the skill sets, pass the experiences, talk about experiences, I think that's important. But yeah, definitely becoming your own best friend. And if you become your own best friend, you'll be your own, like kind of defense mechanism to people, might be like, you're fat. You'll feel more confident in yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
I think you say it so beautifully, and I just want to recap that. Yeah, there is so much emphasis on who you should be than to who you should become.
Yes.
And
Well said.
most importantly, if you become happy and confident and kind, compassionate to yourself, and that's what you're gonna put out.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
No.
yeah.
Well said. That's exactly it. I
Yes.
think we have a lot of inner work to do to become better humans for the world, and not kind of delve into the pressures of society. Yeah.
That's great. And we're coming to the end of our segment, and it was such a pleasure to have. And you're going to promise to come back and share some of this energy again?
Anytime, yeah.
Yes,
It's been a while since I was like, do I even know how to give interviews anymore? And then you just be yourself, you just
yes,
go in, and
exactly.
that's just how you do it.
Yes.
So,
So thank you for
I
coming in the
appreciate you
studio.
guys shedding some light as well and having me on your show.
Thank you so much. And until next time, this is your host, Meena J.
और मैं हूँ आपकी host, Sarita Chand.
MindSense.